live Marco podcast audio commentaries.
Thanks to your generous donations to our Kickstarter funding campaign, Clive Barker Podcast presents Fundraiser 3.
Hell on Earth.
I guess I can do the countdown.
Yeah,
well, actually, yeah, so just to kind of get everybody started up, we're doing Hellraiser Hellseeker, the sixth Hellraiser movie, in a long series of bad sequels.
I kind of softened up a little bit on this movie after I rewatched it for this commentary track.
I kind of like parts of this one, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of felt that way, too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, so where we're paused is right before the word dimension shows up. So we have a black screen, and dimension is about to fade in. So if everybody pause this and get yourself set up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then 3, 2, 1, and play.
There we go. So, Dimension.
Films.
So is Dimension still around?
Yeah. They also have Dimension Extreme now.
It's funny, there's a quote from Dante's Inferno on this one, but the last movie was called Inferno.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently this intro, the credits for this intro were done by Jameson Goey, who also worked on the previous movie's special effects. And
that's why they're so similar.
Yeah, if you read Hellraiser Films and Their Legacy, it says here that Jameson Goey made this intro on his spare time. Because before that, it was supposed to be a flashback of what had happened to Kirsty since we saw her last in Hellraiser 2.
So what do you think this is, CGI?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Looks like it.
I like it. I like the close-ups of it. And
yeah. I don't like the music though, because it sounds kind of like a hokey TV made for TV movie.
I don't like the guitar.
Yeah, but I think this rotating puzzle box looks cool, and it looks similar to what they did for Inferno.
It's very similar, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the soundtrack for this movie was made by was it Stephen Edwards?
Yeah, he did the score. You're right.
I have it. I have the album. There was an unofficial release, and I have a copy of this. So it's okay. I mean, when you hear the whole thing as a record, it works better than when you see it in the movie. Although there's a lot of electronic that, like Ryan was saying, sometimes it doesn't fit the scenes very much.
So this writing team, do we know if they wrote this as a non-Hellraiser script first? Because, I mean, we've been hearing that about Inferno and about this one, but I don't know for a fact. I mean, it seems like there's contradictory things people are saying about that.
Well, I saw 2 different screenplays for this.
Yeah.
So one of them, I don't know exactly when it was written, and the other one says 10/27/2000. So 2 years before this movie came out.
So and that one had a character named Kirsty who wasn't the Kirsty from Hellraiser.
Correct.
Yeah.
There was a Kirsty Gooding. So
what a terrible idea.
I'm not entirely sure if... what happened was, and if you read the Paul Kane's book, Hellraiser Films and Their Legacy, you'll find out they only got Ashley Lawrence a few days before they started principal photography. So
yeah. And it was because Doug Bradley...
They had to rewrite the whole script into the...
I think the scene with them like teasing each other and kissing and stuff is really kind of a cheat. It's because it's not what happened. So what are they showing exactly? Is that his fantasy of what he hopes happened? It's really strange.
They're trying to keep the viewer...
Mystery.
I know, but when you do a flashback that's not true, then what is it?
I wouldn't call it not true. I would call it more like incomplete, because we don't see exactly everything that they're talking before the accident. But you're right. It is incorrect. Because,
well, yeah, they weren't laughing and stuff with each other. They were fighting.
Can't spoil it, but yeah, they were. So that's
spoil it.
Yeah, because there's a twist.
Yep.
At the end, so
yeah, well, it just
anybody's watching this,
it feels like a cheat to maintain the twist ending. That they remade the. I don't know. I don't like when flashbacks aren't true.
So we just saw the car crash, and you can see the little ramps on the wall there, because the car obviously does not crash into a wall. He just appears over the wall, and you can see really closely. There's a couple of wooden boards there that look like a ramp. So I noticed that. Oh,
I didn't notice that.
I didn't either. Good catch.
It's weird that he was banging on the door handle instead of opening it.
Yeah.
And it would be. It seems like it would be so easy to pull on the thing and open the door from her side. I don't know. It's just. But
also,
again, it's not even
underwater really for a long time.
But it's also not what happened anyway. So
here's the first fake out.
Yeah.
So just in case, for the car fanatics out there, the car that they crashed was a 1977 BMW 528i. Thank you, Internet Car Movie Database.
So
that's where you got that from?
I do really like where these hospital characters fit in at the end of the movie versus where they are right now. I mean, not to, like you said, spoil it, but I thought that was kind of clever the way they put that all together.
Yeah. So this is Alison Dormier, a doctor, a resident at the hospital where Trevor wakes up. And she was played by Rachel Hayward, who had done a lot of other
winners.
And she's the only person that's ever nice to Trevor.
Yeah, she's a Canadian actress. This movie was filmed in Vancouver. And Rachel Hayward was also in Breaking All the Rules, Dean Koontz Whispers. Of course, Dean Koontz is friends with Clive Barker, so there's a connection there. She was also in Time Runner, Voyage of Terror, and Cabin Pressure. And she was also in Sliders, Highlander, Stargate SG-1, First Wave, Xena, Warrior Princess, and Cold Squad.
Oh, wow. She must have been really young in Highlander.
Does this remind you of the scene of Chenard from Part 2?
Yes. Yeah. I was just going to say, I think it's a combination of that and Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah, it's a total reference right there. Mm-hmm. And that creepy nurse, it is imperative that you stay calm.
Yeah.
She's going to show up again a few more times.
Yeah.
It's funny how there's a surgeon. I mean, there's a Cenobite later in the movie. It's called The Surgeon. Only this was kind of a, some kind of connection to that. I don't know.
Yeah, this is very. I mean, I would think realistic. I haven't seen anything like this happen, but it's pretty horrifying and well done. It's
a little. This scene is disturbing because it's done in a very gritty, very dirty kind of aesthetic.
Well, it's also again like one of those things where if it's only from his perspective because it's a hallucination, why are we seeing the brain?
Yeah,
but whatever. It still works.
This is Dean Winters. He was in the really good show, the prison show Oz from HBO. That was a really good show.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, if you watch TV, he does the Geico commercials.
Yeah.
Well,
I remember
that
those.
Scene with that scene with the neurosurgeon, like you guys were saying, it's a total reference to Chenard in Hellbound. And what I like about that scene, and also, of course, it's just a flashback, a dream flashback or whatever, but there's a line that they say that they're going to manipulate the brain and memories are going to show up and stuff. And so they introduce the possibility with that scene that this may all be a dream from his manipulated brain.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
If only this movie didn't have so many moments where he keeps falling asleep and waking up in completely random places.
Yeah.
That makes me a little disconcerted when I was watching this.
actually it's doing it so much to where it's kind of like something. There's something not right.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what
puts itself away.
It's kind of like something we were talking about in an earlier podcast. Like, if you look at this as a horror movie, it's not that bad. But as a Hellraiser movie, it kind of does a lot of what Inferno did was, it kind of breaks rules, and I don't know. It's not very. It's kind of irreverent to the franchise, I guess. It's like this is a new series almost. Like how Godzilla movies have, different time periods where they are different styles of Godzilla movies. So this, I think starting with Inferno through 8 was a completely...
like a theme of different kind of...
Yeah. This theme of people who don't know that they're in hell or that, they don't know what reality is.
Yeah.
I think 1 through 4 all belong together, and then this 1 through 8, and I don't know, Revelations maybe is the start of something, or maybe it just killed the franchise.
Well, this is Detective Lang, and if you read Paul Kane's book, there's a lot of cool information about this, the cast. So this is Will Taylor, and he was a gang member in John Carpenter's classic Assault on Precinct 13. In 1976.
Wow.
Oh, cool, really?
Yeah, he's so much older now. You wouldn't know. Yeah.
Plays a detective.
He also played the psychiatrist in Watchmen, the one that was talking to Rorschach.
Oh, gosh. I just saw that movie when it came out. I remember.
And he was also in The Fly 2 in 1989.
Oh? Don't remember The Fly 2 very well.
Well, he obviously plays the good guy here.
The lighting in this subway is weird. It's like he just walked into the Matrix.
Yeah, and the bus. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, the
like
bus, yeah.
I like the cold feel of it.
Yeah. It's like, she's green. Everybody's green.
And that looks like the nurse that was in the hospital when they...
Oh, yeah. Well, and maybe it is, because there's a lot of these people are recurring.
And yeah, keep an eye out for this guy with the piercings in the radio, because he's going to show up at the end of the movie again.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that, but that is kind of a movie stereotype where some punk is blasting a music on the bus or whatever, and you ask them to turn it down, and they turn it up.
You remember that Star Trek scene, the movie with the whales? Where
yes, Star Trek 4.
4, yeah.
Yeah.
Kirk and Spock are in a bus, and Kirk says, "Can you turn that down?" And the guy makes it louder, and then Spock just leans over and gives him the Vulcan nerve pinch.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe it was a nod to that. Maybe it doesn't happen as often as I think. Maybe I just remember that movie. We used to have that on Laserdisc. Star Trek 4. Mm-hmm. We just had number 1 and number 4, and those were the only ones we owned.
So here's an interesting bit. This dog, this pit bull, in the original script, this was not something that they could actually introduce in terms of saying... Well, I guess they could, but they didn't. There's a scene that was cut from the script saying, a pit bull's snout ends up inches from Trevor's leg as it launches forward and is yanked to a stop by its chain. And Trevor rears back, pinned against the wall. The dog suddenly seems to recognize Trevor, backs off and wags its tail. Trevor cautiously leans over, looks at the tag on the collar and says, "Hey, Cotton, good boy." So the pit bull would have belonged to Trevor and Kirsty, and his name would have been Cotton.
Oh, that's an awful idea.
I know.
Wow.
In some ways, it's best to cut it out.
Yeah. It's good that he listened to Doug Bradley on that. So you can't have a character named Kirsty if it's not Kirsty from. Because I think with just using Doug Bradley's ideas, they probably bumped the quality of this movie way up.
I think so.
And getting a hold of Ashley Lawrence, because they couldn't get a hold of her for some reason. They were having trouble finding her. And then they only found her a few days before photography started. Yeah. And they had to rewrite the script to include her, the inheritance money from her dad and Uncle Frank, and stuff like that.
Of course, the downside is that this Kirsty is not a good person.
Yeah, right.
I like the darker turn, though, because, I thought it was kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. The way the character is evolved. It's not the same.
Yeah. Well, and it also...
It's a different time. I guess it fits in with this world that they've...
And they also set it up, though, that Kirsty could come back in another Hellraiser movie someday.
Yeah.
I don't know if that will ever happen, but we don't even know if there will ever be another Hellraiser movie, but...
Okay, little bit of trivia here. Trevor works at a company called Cubic Route. So there's like cubic as in the cube.
Oh.
And also in the original script from, I think it was Tim Day, maybe, we are introduced in several episodes how Trevor is good with numbers, especially when he's driving with the Kirsty who wasn't Kirsty. Mm-hmm. She keeps asking him to come up with the square root of random numbers, and he can do that easily.
Huh.
So cubic root, cubic route, there you go. You can even see there on the... Yeah, you can see on the sheets cubic route right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I think we just missed where he said, "You look like hell warmed over." So it's kind of like a little...
I hate those kind of lines.
I know.
You know, like...
Yeah, it's like, get it? Because we're in a Hellraiser movie?
It's like End of Days when Arnold Schwarzenegger tells the devil to go to hell. Everybody tells the devil to go to hell.
Yeah, it's like, that. Where do you think I just came from?
Yeah. But Dimension Films, I got this from Internet Movie Database, kind of going back to the Ashley Lawrence saying she was kind of rude. They actually put a gag order on the cast and crew.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So it was weird that she even was able to do that at all, and maybe she did it and didn't give them any information because she couldn't.
Yeah. But she did say about she only had enough, she'd been paid enough money to buy towards a new refrigerator.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said.
Yeah, which is kind of a shame because she's, I mean, for Hellraiser, she's the star power of this movie because, I mean, for Hellraiser fans, she is.
Okay.
I think more than Dean Winters.
We're approaching the first appearance of Doug Bradley in the movie, even though he's kind of unrecognizable.
Yeah, well, the first few times I saw this movie, I didn't know that was him.
Yeah, and I would like to bring to the attention that in the script, this scene 17, is Interior Kircher Imports Warehouse Day. So this is supposed to be Kircher Imports, which, if you remember Hellbound Heart, Kircher is the name of one of the guys who...
The guy who got the box for Frank.
Yeah, so he tells him how to use the box and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Also, something which I was a little confused whether or not it's a reference is that his cubicle partner, his name is Brett. His name is Brett Spinner. So I'm wondering if this is a play on Brent Spiner, the guy from Star Trek. It's just a weird coincidence.
I don't know.
Yeah. You're talking about the guy that played, what's his name? Data?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that character.
His real name is very similar to this guy's, this character's name.
This is weird. This whole scene here, he beats up the vending machine, and it's like, what? I don't know where they're going with this. And then his boss tries to like have sex with him in the public.
Oh, there's the hand.
Yeah,
in the break room.
In the public break room, anybody can wander in there, and they do. Later on in the movie.
I can explain to you about the hand. This scene was supposed to feature in the hallucination. On the script, it was supposed to be Kirsty would be inside the machine filled with water, and she'd be banging on the glass to get out.
Oh, so maybe they just couldn't manage it?
Yeah,
Ashley Lawrence didn't like to work underwater, so they kind of scratched her.
Well, she won't let you take flash pictures of her either.
Well, that's because
actually, she won't let you take any pictures of her, flash or otherwise. She just won't trust that you won't have the flash on. I mean, I've seen her like 4 times.
Had a welding accident.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she had a welding accident where a spark went into her eye.
Ugh.
And that's why she can't... it hurts her when she sees flashes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's why when they had the Hellraiser panel in New Jersey, she wasn't there.
Could be.
Everybody else, because she knew that people in the audience would be taking flash pictures.
But the actress playing Gwen here name's Sarah Jane Redmond. And she's done a lot of TV work, and was in most notably the new
X-Files.
X-Files, the new VTV series. And movie, the sequel, I never saw it, but it's based on the comic book. I do have it.
Is she the character that got shot in the end of season 5?
I can't remember, but I mean, this is a good point.
That was Fox Mulder's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah,
and she went to work on terrorists instead of the X-Files.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just saw the last episode of season 5, and then when we started season 6, they're like, "Oh, you need to watch the movie," because they showed clips from the movie, and I was like, "Oh." Yeah. So now I got to go find the movie before we go on. This is weird. Who's sending this? Is never they never go back to this. Like, who's blackmailing him, or it doesn't even matter because it's not reality. But
it's not real, right? That's
it's not real. It's just
So I don't know. It gets to a point though where it's like, what?
It's his memory.
Why do we even care about some of this stuff?
It's his memory trying to break through.
Yeah,
that's what.
It's like, hey, this is human resources. We're just calling you to say you can't watch porn on work time.
I used to have that ViewSonic monitor.
And who opened that, right? I mean, who opened that page?
Yeah, right.
That's strange, but, So Detective Lang has a partner. His name is Detective Givens.
Yeah.
Detective Givens. Yeah.
He's a good
Michael
cop,
Rogers plays him.
Yeah.
Said Gary Tunnicliffe said Dean Winters was game to pretty much do anything. Said he's like, we have to stick this in your mouth. He was like, oh, that sucks. That's gross, but whatever, I'll do it.
Oh, that eel?
Yeah.
How did he? What? Huh?
He didn't stick it all
I don't think they stuck the whole heel down his throat.
No,
it might have been just like an instant shot.
Yeah, just for when it's finally at the end of it, probably.
Yeah.
He plays a really sympathetic character. This cast is really good. It's just, again, it's the story that could just have been a little better if they didn't have so many flashbacks. But in this movie's defense, and I noticed that when I was watching it again, it's like some of the feedbacks actually make sense, and they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
Unlike some of the flashbacks that you see in movies like Deader or Hellworld, which is just meant to confuse you. You could just cut those things out, and it wouldn't matter a bit for the movie. But in this one, the flashbacks are, kind of okay for the most part.
Well, what about that first one where they're like kissing and laughing and stuff? I mean, is that supposed to be him trying to make sense of it or wishful thinking?
I think he's hallucinating that in the hospital.
Well, yeah.
Also, it kind of makes the audience think they're a happy couple.
Well, is he? But he's not. I mean, we know he's not really in a hospital.
Well, I think this was meant to mask his real character because, again, going from the Paul Kane's book, Thorne was a very unsympathetic character from the start, and people didn't like him, so they didn't really give two bits whether or not he went to hell. But in this one, they were like, well, maybe we should start by tricking the audience into thinking that he's actually a good guy. He's had an accident, he lost his wife, the poor guy. Yeah. And then bit by bit, they start unraveling the conspiracy that he had going on. So,
well, and it's interesting. It's also kind of a little unfair, and it's interesting, when a character has amnesia, and they're a good person until they remember stuff. And you see that happen a lot in stories and movies, like or that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie on Mars, Total Recall.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. You almost wish that. Well, okay, now that you're a good person, maybe you could get another chance.
Hey, it's the engineer from.
Yeah, no, that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah. Yeah, no more Cenobites with wearing street clothes.
Yeah. Bad jackets.
I do remember seeing on eBay, I don't know how legit this was, but I do remember seeing on eBay for the longest time, someone was trying to sell the prop from Hellraiser Hellseeker, which was the rubber eel that you can see in the scene. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I considered buying it at one point, but I was like... there's no way to know if it's the real prop or not.
I know, that's kind of... Unless it's from the
I was-
actual person.
Yeah, and also it was like from Hellraiser 6, which I was like, it's okay. I don't need to have a prop from Hellraiser 6.
Yeah.
And, it would just be weird because, it would be a rubber eel.
Yeah. What do you do with that? Well, I wonder, as they were developing this movie, if they realized how similar this would be to Inferno. I mean, I guess they must have. But it's like another guy trying to unravel a mystery that involves him personally, and it turns out that he's in hell the whole time.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you. It's a total... it's very similar.
Yeah.
Also, this apartment sucks. His apartment set, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It looks like a dive. It looks
does.
like a crack den.
It's kind of like Fox Mulder's apartment, right? He's got, he doesn't even have a bed.
There's an explanation for why the set was this bad. It's because there's a lot of actors in this movie that were also in Children of the Corn movies. And this set was reused from a Children of the Corn movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a little one-room studio or like efficiency apartment.
Yeah. So this scene is completely unnecessary, even considering that they were setting it up for another moment at the end.
Yeah.
In my
Like, who
opinion,
cares,
this scene it's completely unnecessary. I could have done without this. I could have done without the twist ending where they take, I don't want to spoil it, but it's like the heel appears at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
There's an explanation, but I think I could do without this part. It's just weird, it's jarring. It takes you out of the story. You're like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And this is Tawny.
Yeah.
The girl next door. He completely does not remember her at all.
Yeah, and everywhere he goes, all these women are throwing themselves at him.
Yeah, right? It's like he works at a cubicle and he lives in a crummy old apartment. What does he have going on for him? So
yeah, and I wonder what kind of a business he's in. It's not insurance. They just keep on telling him he needs to do numbers and reports, but it's not really clear what that company does.
Sales.
Or what he does.
There's a lot of sexy scenes in this movie, and I think it might be because they might have thought, hey, it's a horror movie, so let's put some hot chicks in here for the horror crowd.
Well, and they're trying to set up who all these characters are to him, for the twist ending and stuff too.
Something that I'm not sure. I don't think they used it, but in the script, when there's the eel scene, we would hear a bell toll. The bell from a distant cathedral begins to peal. Bong, bong, bong. So this was written in the script, which is a good reference to the Hellbound Heart.
And they forgot to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks that they didn't do that.
Yeah.
I would have loved that. Little things like that I really appreciate.
So did he and Kirsty live together in this apartment?
Looks like it.
Yeah. their room, the bedroom looks different though. It looked.
Yeah, from in this video, and did he put all those videotapes of those other people up there with these?
What videotapes?
Oh, he would videotape himself having sex with all these other women.
Yeah, they were up in that closet.
Yeah, well,
I didn't look at the names when as we were going by.
And there was a little shot of a gun that'll come into play later in the film up in the top of the closet.
So he remembered where those videotapes are, and he knew what he was looking for.
I mean, good heavens, who films like that? Like, hey, I got you a present, and then films the hand, and he walks over filming the hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
right.
box.
Yeah, that's another cheat, just to make it better film, a better movie.
Yeah. Oh, there's a glitch in the Matrix. We just saw the tape kind of glitched and went back a little bit because we can't show you too much.
Yeah.
So that's apartment 202, and that number is going to come up a few more times in the movie.
I was wondering. I always look at door numbers or the characters.
Yeah, ever since The Shining.
Yeah, and I look at look up. Sometimes people use it for like in Dark City. The guy's beginning of that movie. There's his hotel room. The door number represents some kind of what you call it, a quote from the Bible about birth. But yeah, I always look at numbers and stuff like that. But I didn't know it came back. I didn't know Room 202 came back more. And in this movie, I didn't notice that. So you have to point those out.
This is so weird. There's no way she could have gotten in there.
This isn't real.
Well,
yeah, it's not. There's nothing real about it.
But he doesn't even question it.
Trevor's
Look
boss.
at the clock, too. I just noticed this now. The clock back behind him has no hands.
Yeah.
Oh,
But that's a
good
symbolic
catch.
thing, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from Paul Kane's book, let me read this a little bit about Trevor's boss, Gwen. She was to be played by Sarah Jane Redmond, who initially came in to read for the Kirsty part. So she was originally meant to be Kirsty when Kirsty wasn't supposed to be Ashley Lawrence's character. She had such a presence that Boda wanted to use her somewhere, and she proved to be a perfect casting for this dominating and sexually aware woman. Born in Cyprus, Greece, Redmond's first movie was From Pig to Oblivion in 1993, and she filled in the time between her next one, Disturbing Behavior, 1998, with roles in The X-Files, Millennium. Do you guys remember that show with Lance Henriksen?
Yeah, it was like a spinoff of the X-Files.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, she played the devil in Millennium.
Huh.
Sleepwalkers and Poltergeist: The Legacy. So she
Sleepwalkers.
Says,
There's another Clive Barker tie-in.
she said that as research, she viewed dominatrix sessions at a local dungeon and said, "When I auditioned for the part, I used a photograph out of Robert Stanton's illustrated book for The Man Who Knows His Place as my headshot. It's a photo of a man on his hands and knees slaving to his female master in his office." Very appropriate, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
And
you
Tom,
said,
she
I
was
don't.
played by actress Jodie Thompson from Vancouver, and she was 24 years old, and she had been previously in Death Game, Fear of Flying, and the acupuncturist Sage, who's going to show up later. She was played by Karen De Silva, and she had been in John McTiernan's 13th Warrior. I think that's the one with Banderas. And
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's about Vikings.
Yep. I think I remember her there. And her British accent was not real. She copied it from her English mother's accent. There you go.
I always thought this was kind of a creepy moment watching a character saying that something happening on the TV screen.
But it's a lot of like he's hallucinating inside of another dream. It's I don't know. This movie sort of it folds in on itself too much.
Yeah. I like the part where he's going to put his hand over. He puts his hand over the camera, and his hand appears on the TV screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, the Cenobites, I got to say, they doesn't work too well to me. They just look like goons in masks. It doesn't look like it's their real faces.
Yeah.
The figures looked better than the actual,
Another fake
masks.
Yeah, Bound and and it's a fake out, and now he ended up here. Mm-hmm. It's like he was in his apartment. I don't know.
Right, it's like blacked out.
Yeah. So was it the last 20 minutes, and it doesn't even matter because nothing is real anyway.
Talking about the visual style of the film, Gary Tunnicliffe said Rick Boda had a very distinct vision for what he wanted. It was very different from previous Hellraisers because he was influenced by avant-garde art. Being a DP as well, he's very interested in color and image. I think that's very true because I think the film does have, like I said, a very blue kind of cold look to it, and I thought that was he is a very good DP. I've seen he did Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. The movie, the slasher film Valentine, and I think some of those, he added a richness to the stories with visual flair.
I think
I don't know if you guys noticed, but when Brett gives Trevor the address for Sage, It was 1940 Pine Avenue, but the E at the end of Pine kind of looks like a Z, so it's like Pins Avenue.
Oh.
And the suite for Sage is number 202.
Oh, really?
Okay, cool, but other 202 months. Sure.
And of course, obviously the acupuncture is a,
Pin.
yeah, it's pins, and I mean, and obviously
Needles.
a reference to Pinhead.
Well, they're needles, really, but
But I mean, it's supposed to
weird
be visually, make you think of,
Like a motif.
yeah.
yeah.
So, in this one, like I said, her British accent is a little flaky, but
Yeah.
it's okay. Obviously, she was another one of his conquests in his former
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
It's a great scene right here with Doug.
Yep, Doug Bradley. And this movie introduced an element that was really cool. And I'm sorry that I haven't seen this become more popular, especially with the box makers out there.
Yeah.
I have seen people who have reproduced the sphere that we're going to see in this scene,
Yeah.
but those were very rare occasions. And I think if someone made a copy of the sphere, there might be just like a couple of those out there.
He said, trapped by a wife who suffocates you with forgiveness.
I like how his ring kind of
Yeah.
blends in with the...
Yeah,
box.
the visual style of the box. And that's cool.
On that, in the Scarlet Box, they talked to, like, the writer about how the director told him, Dimension liked the script, but they said you can't have the box, you can't refer to the box as a sphere. It was like, okay. It was like, well, what do you want me to do? He's like, just call it a cube. And so they just, he changed that, and they were like, oh, perfect, let's shoot. So, I mean, they were just,
Yeah.
like,
All right, here comes Pinhead. And just in case you guys missed it, there was a line from Sage where she says, "'Tis a means to break the surface of the real."
Yeah.
And that's, I think, reference to Hellbound Heart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and there was something else. Doesn't somebody say, will you partake?
This revelation part is really great.
Somebody says, will you partake, which is a direct line from Hellbound Heart.
And the pin just grows to be like a really long needle here.
Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of unnerving, and I mean, but then at the same time, because it's like not real, it's also kind of a who cares.
I like the fact that Pinhead walks out of anatomy chart of the acupuncture pressure points.
I do too.
Yeah.
That was really cool. I kind of wish they would have had like the worms around his pin when he pulled it
Like
out.
in Hellraiser 3, right?
Yeah. I thought that was
Personally, I prefer pain. That's a direct quote from Clive Barker, right?
Is it?
I'm just kidding. That's from that. I think that was one of
Okay.
those memes from that Alex did on the official Hellraiser.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
I remember. It was "Welcome to the Worst Nightmare of All," reality.
Oh, which
Yeah,
is
that's what I
another.
was gonna talk about later.
That's
I
also
watched
that's
that.
also in this movie. Yeah.
That was
But somebody said
posted
that was
on-
Clive Barker's quote, and I asked Jose, and he was like, I asked you, Jose, and you were like, no, that's not at all. Somebody
No,
made that up.
no, that's not. I mean, it's not. It's not fair to Clive Barker or to the writer of this movie to make stuff like that.
What's he got a tattoo of on his arm? I wonder if that's a symbolic thing for anything. It's like, it looked like I didn't get a good clear look at it.
I don't
It
know.
was a steer skull
Oh, okay.
on his shoulder. He had like the skull of a steer tattooed, I think. Maybe he's a Longhorn fan. Here's Detective Gibbons talking about the Cotton inheritance, which was introduced into this script when they got Ashley Lawrence to play Kirsty Cotton.
So they gave him motivation for killing her, which he didn't have before, I guess, except he wanted to get rid of her because he didn't like her that much.
I just keep wondering what money from Uncle Frank. Uncle Frank was like a loser. He just like squatted in houses and stuff.
Yeah, it seems like he would have squandered all of his money.
Yeah, he'd be
I
like,
could see Larry having something.
Yeah, Larry.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's possible Julia might have had some money, too.
Mm-hmm. This guy is really intimidating. I really like the two detectives in this movie. They work very well in tandem.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, and the other the one that's his partner, that's pretty realistic about the way people act and say, oh yeah, I'm your friend. I'm going to help you get to the truth so we can prove you're innocent. And that's something that they really do.
And you notice how each time those two characters are the two cops, the partners, are never in the same room at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, not until they reveal the... Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit about Rick Boda and how he came to be picked by Dimension. So it says here in the Hellraiser films and their legacy that the person chosen by Dimension to immediately follow up Inferno was cinematographer Rick Boda, who had begun his career, like Kevin Yeager before him, working on episode from Tales from the Crypt. Not the best Omen Hellraiser supporters could have wished for, but he also had 10 years of experience on films such as Final Embrace, comic book flick Barbed Wire with Pamela Anderson.
Oh.
Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, I know, that's bad. The interesting, though inferior, remake of House on Haunted Hill from 1999 and Serial Killer John Valentine from 2001, starring David Boreanaz. In addition to this, Boda had been a second unit director on Guillermo del Toro's impressive monster movie Mimic.
I like Mimic.
Oh, I love Mimic, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Sorvino, and Kiss the Girls from Gary Fleder, 1997.
I remember that was a movie, but I don't think I saw it.
I remember Mimic, and it had a Clive Barker quote on the poster. And Kiss the Girls was about two serial killers working together, killing girls.
Mm.
And as for the script, there were Carl Dupre, who was a writer on Bone Chillers, 1996. He had penned Detroit Rock City in 1999 and Prophecy 3, The Ascent for Patrick Lussier, 2000. Patrick Lussier was once considered by the Weinstein brothers to be a director of the Hellraiser remake. So things connected.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost happened.
Tim Day was also...
If they had just made that...
started out as an electrician on 9.5 in 1991. And Anthony Hickox's Waxworks 2. So Anthony Hickox directed Hellraiser 3. Before working as best boy and key grip on a number of productions. Day was actually an old friend of Boda's from his Tales from the Crypt days. Oh, there we go. And this is Stitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The mask just doesn't look very...
Yeah.
Wait, it's filmed. Now, that's a Clive Barker. And the commentary for that, Clive Barker told Rick Boda to insert that. That was a suggestion he gave him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, if the Cenobites didn't look so cheap, it would have been better.
I actually like Stitch and Surgeon. They're pretty cool concepts.
Yeah, yeah. Conceptually, they're good. It's just like you said,
awesome.
their masks don't look very real. Not like Chatterer.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, have you noticed that they added a stock dramatic sound effect on this scene that you can get from like GarageBand and iMovie?
Was that it just then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I heard that.
Bump.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's like listening to the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did any of the Hellraisers have any of that? Have that scream in it? I don't think it did.
I don't think so. Oh no, I don't think Clive would. I don't think he would do it.
Yeah, I was just curious if any of those they did.
It's usually like action movies anyway, because it's like where you have a lot of people falling off of cliffs or getting shot.
Yeah.
So So as far as sequels go, this isn't as bad as Inferno, at least in my opinion. And
No.
Hellworld and Deader certainly aren't as well made as this movie, or have a good cast like this one.
If they were
But again,
going to...
it's the story that kills this one for me. The constant use of these wake-up dream sequence moments.
Yeah.
And stuff. You know.
But I think if they were going to go in this direction for the new series, this would have been a better Hellraiser 5.
Oh yeah, if they would have started off with this, I probably would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
There's another
decent.
scene that sounds very familiar. It's a main character walking down a hallway while babies are crying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a kind of
Yeah, it seems like at least this director was a little more cognizant of what Hellraiser is.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Or the writers.
Yeah. Some of it's kind of atmospheric, and some of it is like little lines and things, too, that are just kind of nods to Hellraiser.
I got confused here now. Is she just playing coy, like she doesn't know him, or
Or just because her husband is there.
yeah?
Husband or boyfriend, it's never really
Yeah.
explained. Or it's just meant to add to the confusion, really. But
Yeah.
no, they were having an affair in real life, yeah.
Yeah.
So Doug Bradley said to Firelight Shocks on September 2002, "We shot Hellseeker in Vancouver at the beginning of last year. I've already looped it, so it should be released sometime soon, but I still haven't seen it, and I haven't heard anything about the release date." He said, "I think it's very good. I like the script. I got along very well with the director, Rick Boda. He's a first-time director, but he did a good job on it. I'm in it a lot more than I was in Inferno, and I think it will be better than Inferno. It's got a lot of interesting ideas in it. Rick is doing some really cool stuff, so I have high hopes for it."
He's still not in it very much.
No, really.
But, I mean, he's not in Hellraiser very much either. It's okay. It's just... Yeah, like you said, the biggest problem here is that we only get about 5 minutes of reality in this movie, right? And all the rest of it is him trying to, in some kind of a dream, trying to work out what happened to him. Mm-hmm. He's in a dream, or he's in hell, or whatever.
Found a new twist in the puzzle.
Oh, one thing I did want to mention before, I think when we were in All Problems Solved and all those blackbirds flew out, I thought that was really cool. It was like, hey, that's a nod to Hellbound Heart and to Hellraiser.
Oh, yeah, vast blackbirds trapped in perpetual tempest.
Yeah. And you heard them in Hellraiser. You heard their wings flapping, and they were talked about in Hellbound Heart. I thought that was nice that they did that.
Yeah, you would.
Didn't he use that image in the Forbidden, one of his early short films?
I'm sorry. What?
I'd have to.
One of the earlier short films Clive Barker did, The Forbidden. Didn't he use that image of black?
Yes, he did. Yeah. There's kind of an animated sequence where Peter Atkins' character is looking out of a window and he sees like these blackbirds flying around.
Yeah.
This is a cool moment here where the guy all of a sudden he's like doing this weird black origami box.
Yeah.
It's very cool. He kind of looks a little bit like the derelict from...
maybe this is the blackbird scene.
Yeah, it's right now.
You're right, he does, Jose, look like that, from the original one. And those nails right there, I like that shot where he pushes the money over. Yeah. And his nails are all dirty like Frank's.
Oh, yeah, good catch there.
Yeah.
There's the verbiage, yeah.
It always was.
It's interesting because we already know that there's something going on with Detective Lang and Givens, but there's something that I think it's weird is that when Trevor is looking, that's an old mental facility hospital in Vancouver right there.
Yeah.
When he sees like Detective Lang like walk away and then he turns around and he turns to look at him again, and it's Detective Givens in one of these scenes. They're wearing different clothes, although
they
should be the same, really.
Yeah.
Just a note on that mental hospital, just a little trivia note to our listeners. That's a hospital that was used in Freddy vs. Jason and Halloween Resurrection.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Where did you find that?
Just on the us member. Where did
This looks like the scene from the Geico commercial right here.
Yeah.
Where I got that, Jose, was I knew it's haunted. It's haunted. There's a.
Oh, okay. I know
And
they
they were
shot
talking-
some of the last scenes when they go to the morgue. That's actually the basement of the building.
There's near the end of the movie. It's weird when he's going around asking for her, and people don't know who she is, and it's I don't that doesn't make sense to me. It's like, but then she's like, "Oh, I heard you were looking for me." It's like, okay, either people don't know who she is or they do, and I don't know.
I just take all of that as another way for the director to try to confuse the audience, to make us feel lost as much as Trevor is.
Yeah.
So, Rob, you brought this up before we started recording that Ashley Lawrence did Geico commercials.
Yeah.
And Dean Winters also plays Mayhem in those insurance commercials as well. So there's a connection there where they've both done insurance commercials for Geico, I think.
Of course, Geico does have 100,000 different commercials.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody in the cinema is like, "Oh, look, it's the box."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're just talking about it like, it's no big deal. And like, why would that even matter to bring that box? It was something that was in the car. That's fine. But it's like, why would that jog his memory in any way?
Well, I think he said that he found blood in the grooves of it.
Ah, right.
And it was weird. He just yelled out, "I think I killed my wife." And then he was sitting right there next to him. And he didn't even bring it up.
Right. He says, "They think I killed my wife."
No, I thought he said, "I think I killed my wife."
Not an admission of guilt.
Yeah, I thought he was just realizing that he thinks it seems like he killed his wife. I thought that's what he said to that.
I thought he said, "They think I killed my wife." They, the police.
I don't think so. I don't know. We'll have to... I mean, we can't rewind it, but...
That's cool how he looks at him and it's that other guy.
Yeah.
In
What's
a
up with
different
the
suit.
CDs on his, they're like taped to his cubicle. I don't know. It's kind of strange.
At least it's not one of those kitty cat posters saying, "Hang in there."
Hang in there.
Or it doesn't help to... It's not a requisite to be crazy to work here, but it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so important that they put this vending machine guy in there. See you later.
Time to get my squash cold croissant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting food from vending machines is always such a disappointment.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw some comedian saying, like, when you were a kid, going to McDonald's to eat was like a victory, and when you're an adult, it's a failure.
Yeah. That's so good.
So this is where the plot is thickening. It's never really explained exactly why these two are partners in crime in this
Yeah.
whole thing. Like, what has Brett been doing to deserve any...
Yeah,
cut?
exactly. That's a good point, because it's not like Brett killed her.
Right.
Is he blackmailing him?
He put him in
Probably
touch
just brought
with
him in
Brett.
on it, or maybe he's wanting to maybe blame it all on him after, if he was hoping to try to, we know the ending of this movie, so
Maybe he's the guy who put Trevor in touch with the guys who were selling the box.
It also seems like a bad idea to put a dartboard in a break room.
Well, people need to relax or something, I guess, on that.
Well, it's not very relaxing to dodge darts while you're trying to get coffee or whatever.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
I always wondered, sometimes I've seen break rooms that have like TVs and, little things to relax. And I always wonder, who's going to use that? Because you don't want to be like in the break room playing and then your boss comes in to get some coffee and is like, what's this guy doing? He should be working.
Yeah, you've been here 45 minutes and you're supposed to only be here for 15 minutes.
Yeah, I've never worked at a job where you have something like any kind of game or anything like that in the break room.
Our break room, you can't even sit down.
So here is back on Sage's office, and it's, I guess they have to do this to make us realize that he was also having an affair with Sage. But this scene is going to become sexual really out of the blue for me. And
you know what I keep thinking about is she put pins in his stomach, and then she leans on him. Right over his stomach, right where those pins are.
Yeah.
So she should be shoving them down into him.
Or through her or something.
Yeah.
Maybe he finds pain exhilarating.
Yeah, that's the whole...
Or maybe they just didn't care.
Again, none of this is real. So
well,
Gary Tunnicliffe, he didn't get paid for this movie.
Oh yeah, right.
Pretty much for free.
Yeah, so there they are.
One of the things about this
now she's leaning right into him.
Is that they keep bringing these flashbacks on Trevor's mind. And I know that they're meant to describe him piecing the movie together, but for me, they just become repetitive a little bit after a while.
Yeah.
But considering that, probably crashing that BMW at the beginning was probably a lot of budget for the movie right there, they wanted to get their money's worth.
Yeah.
But good point about the needles. Yeah, that's like what happened to the needles?
Yeah.
Magic needles. And
this kind of reminds me of Basic Instinct or something.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Stabby stab.
Whoa! Somebody's got the volume way up.
Another fake off. I would imagine the people in the hospital would start getting sick of seeing Trevor go in there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, what's your problem, man?
Yeah.
Even the doctor says in the beginning of the movie, well, let's start weaning you off the painkillers. Wouldn't want you to get hooked and start coming in to get a fix.
Yeah, so this is a direct copy from Jacob's Ladder, that wheel wiggling on the floor there. That's shot for shot right out of the...
I need to watch Jacob Ladder again after watching these Hellraiser movies, because that is a really good movie.
Yeah.
Unlike that other movie that never got famous, Jacob's Bladder.
Right.
I know people are gonna say, "Oh man, that joke was really bad."
Oh, that was good.
So there's the nurse again. The nurse who was on the bus. The nurse who was on his brain surgery scene.
Yeah.
We're all here for you, Trevor.
Yeah. It's important that you relax.
It's imperative that you stay calm.
Oh, that's what it
I
is.
get tired of that saying. We're here for you,
so that he's a dead guy now. He's like, yeah, whatever, dead guy. Where's Allison?
All right, you got me. But it's funny you brought up that notion that nobody knows who Allison Dormier or whatever who she is, or where she's not a resident at the hospital, even though he keeps seeing her all the time. So,
and she just said, "I heard you were looking for me."
Is another unsettling bit where they show us that she really does not exist.
Yeah, but then none of these people exist, or not in the way that he thinks.
Right.
So it doesn't really. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I like the way he shot her. There's a lot of the key lighting on her is like showing like he's like she's like a guardian angel or something.
Yeah, kind of like the chiropractor in Jacob's Ladder.
Oh, okay. All right.
When I started watching this movie for the first time and she appeared in the hospital in the opening scene, I was like, hey, she's pretty angelic. I wonder if they're going to bring like some sort of other presence into the Hellraiser universe, like the good guys or something. Like the Cenobites are supposed to be demons. I think it would be nice to see like angels. The Gospel says angels.
Yeah.
I remember reading in one of the Fangorias when Bloodline was coming out. Doug Bradley said Peter Atkins and him and Gary Tunnicliffe were talking about having like the Cenobites going off against some kind of the anti-Cenobites, where like they were like kind of angelic, where they were against the celebration of flesh. Where like
a Harrowers movie would be awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Or it could be awesome, I guess you could say.
Or really the anti-Cenobites, the Harrowers are human.
Right, right. But they had divine powers from a goddess.
Yeah, Mort Mam.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like this lady in light, like wrapped in a tunic. And it's a shame that they never really picked up on that, apart from the Harrowers miniseries and a couple of Hellraiser comic books.
Well, there's a lot of wasted opportunity with these Hellraiser movies. You know, why pick some script that's vaguely about hell, you know, and then rework it into a Hellraiser movie? Why do all that when there's so much material they could have picked from?
Yeah. He's back at the Kircher warehouse.
Yeah.
And here's the story of how Ashley Lawrence came to be in this movie. She says she told Scott Kalura of Cinescape in December 2002. She said, I got a call from Doug Bradley at home, and kind of out of the blue, he said that he was doing Hellraiser and that the director was talking about the fact that he would love to bring back the Kirsty character in a cameo. And Doug thought he would take matters into his own hands at home and see if I was interested. It was really nice for me after so many years to come back and be in an environment as an adult that I had started as a child, to come back and look at things through those eyes. I understood a lot of things now that I was oblivious to when I was involved with it. Rick Boda is also a DP, so he visually did a really great job with the Cenobites and the things that show up lurking in the shadows. And so there are those things, but also I think a lot of it is exploring the insidious psychology of the lead character.
It's kind of funny that she says as a child and now as an adult, but to us, I think she just looks almost exactly the same.
Yeah. She's aged very gracefully.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, Pinhead being in the reflection in the water there, but
yeah, and I like how he disappears and it shows the image of Trevor. That, again, kind of gives it away.
But now we've got two movies in a row where as soon as they figure out the reality of their situation, then out here comes the hooks, you know, and which was a big deal, was like a grand finale in Hellraiser, and now it's like, oh, this is like what we have to do in every movie.
In this scene where he says, you killed her, you killed all the other women, and then Pinhead says something like, the killer is amongst us, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't need to say that out loud. I mean,
no.
It's too on the nose.
Yeah, it is on the nose.
Yeah, well, it's either you or me, and it's not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's my Brett? Who, you know, there's no reason he would know that Trevor would be here at this warehouse.
Yeah. I think that I would like this movie better if he was figuring all this stuff out in real life. Mm-hmm. And instead of in a dream or in hell or whatever.
And he can open the box unwillingly at the end of the movie or something.
Yeah, or then Pinhead comes for him at the end to take, you know, his part of the, you know, to take that part of the bargain.
Yeah.
I don't know why he needed to. Why
structuring the story?
Yeah.
And again, why is Brett partners with him in this thing? I mean, what has he done to deserve being partners with him? You know,
yeah.
It's never explained here. It's like, okay, well, 50-50, that's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Why would he get 50%?
For doing nothing, just for keeping his secret, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
And the other thing that I don't like here is that this idea that Kirsty has to kill these people to deliver them to Pinhead. It's not how it works. People go to him alive. Right? I mean, the Cenobites come to you when you're still alive. They don't want you to do all that work for them. They want to do that stuff.
The box, and then the Cenobites would torture them and kill them. I don't know.
But
that's not explained either. So.
But shooting Trevor in the head. What it's like the Cenobites would go, "Oh, thanks a lot." That was supposed to be. He was supposed to be for us.
Now he does look like the friggin' engineer from.
Yes.
Bad, but he's got a better coat.
It is kind of nice that they came up with new Cenobite designs.
So he goes back to...
So every time a victim is killed, isn't it really Kirsty killing him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So why is he seeing that stuff? It's just Pinhead is messing with him?
And here, I noticed something. I think this may be a continuity error, but Sage was on Suite 202, just like his room was 202. But now that he went in this suite, it's 206.
Oh.
So I think they made a continuity mistake there.
Oh, yeah, there's 206.
She's breathing. You can tell she's breathing.
Yeah. I've seen that a few times in this movie, and I sort of wondered if it was...
It's a hard thing to do to act dead, man. Breathe. It's difficult.
I've seen that a few times in this movie, and I'm wondering if it's is it because I'm seeing this in high definition now that I notice that kind of stuff? Or just because I've just seen this movie too many times now?
Blu-ray, I think, does spoil a lot of things that we didn't see when we were watching it on smaller 4x3 DVD quality stuff.
Yeah.
For Hellraiser 3, when the girl, Sandra or whatever, is picked up by the Pillar of Souls, you can see the chains.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the winch behind the...
Yeah, behind, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, behind the pillar.
Yeah.
So interesting that people talk about, like Kirsty was talking about Rick Boda being a DP and all that stuff, but cinematography on the show was done by John Drake of Christina's House. It says here, because he was director of photography by trade, Boda had a difficult time deciding whether or not to hire someone at all, but it freed him up more to concentrate on other aspects of the movie. Sometimes we butted heads, admitted Boda, but I think it was to the advantage of the film. And production design was done by Troy Hansen, who had just finished working on Children of the Corn Revelation, and was able to reuse some of the same sets. Trevor's flat, for instance, and the police station. The morgue, too, came from another film, Valentine, for which Boda had served as DP.
Have you guys seen any sequels to Children of the Corn?
No, I hated the first one.
I just saw the first movie, and I was like, that's enough.
Yeah, it was terrible. But apparently those were big hits on video. When I worked at a video store, everybody was renting them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Howling movies. Each one is like twice as bad as the one that came before it.
Yeah.
I've seen Prophecy 1 and 2, I think, and then I saw one movie from Prophecy that was shot in Romania at the same time as Deader in Hellworld. But I can't tell you what's the subtitle for that one. I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
Doug Bradley was in it. He played a victim that's possessed by Lucifer, I think.
I heard it was actually pretty good, those two they put out direct-to-video of the Prophecy films. I've never seen them, but I liked the first three Prophecies that were made. I thought they were pretty interesting films.
Also, in the same Prophecy movie I'm talking about, the actress who played, I think, Darla in... Is it Darla? The woman that the reporter finds in Deader, like dead on the toilet seat. I think her name was Darla in the movie. So that actress was also in that Prophecy movie.
Huh.
She's from Romania. So everything's connected here. It's like Romania, they shot a bunch of movies there, including Deader in Hellworld. Got to make do, you know.
Yeah, to mention shot. Yeah, you're right. When you talk about a bunch of those, shot like Dracula 2000 sequels there. Yeah, it was a time of where they were just really cranking out a lot of direct-to-video titles for that new label you were talking about.
That's weird. The police drag him out there, and he's like, I thought I asked you to stay put.
Yeah. Well, it's just to give him some exposition, like, all these people were tortured and murdered, and he's the suspect.
Yeah.
This is just coming up now in the story.
So, it's weird. He's hallucinating being manhandled and dragged out of the room.
That cop is creepy looking.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too.
His eyes are weird.
Yeah, and he doesn't ever say anything. He just looks at him.
Yeah. It's like this police precinct is like a police precinct in hell, because you keep seeing that guy's being tortured with electricity.
Yeah.
Cops were beating up a guy mercilessly with their batons.
And if we're supposed to believe this is reality, then the explanation is that after the accident, he keeps having all these hallucinations. But
I think at this point, we pretty much figure out that this is hell.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think
steps down,
the guy who was
the basement.
Yeah, and they drag it on.
Like again,
they drag this thing on way too long, way after the audience has figured out what's going on. Because we all saw Inferno. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. We
want to see what's coming out at the end of this.
Yeah. And this is so weird. Like, here's the trip to the morgue is just down this weird, long hallway full of crazy people. And
I'm not very familiar with police precincts in the U.S., but are they supposed to have morgues? I thought the morgues would be at the hospital.
I'm not sure.
But again,
I think that's right. I think it is the hospital.
Yeah.
Clive gave Rick Boda some feedback after he saw the movie, because Boda had talked to Clive, contacted Clive and said, hey, we'd like to show you the movie. We'd like to get some sort of feedback from you. And it's like, okay. So Clive saw the movie. Apparently he smiled when he saw some references to, like, Hellbound Heart and stuff like that. And then at the end, from his notes, he did tell Rick Boda to add some more graphic material. So, for example, at the morgue, you see, like, a slab of meat with, like, maggots on it. That was something that they added after Clive's feedback.
And you said that scene of Stitch, like, putting that thing over his face and screwing it into his throat or whatever, that was
Clive's.
That was Clive's?
Yeah.
It's kind of neat that actually one of these late sequels actually has some Clive input in it, because I didn't know that.
They weren't Dimension, like I said. They didn't want him to be They didn't even They didn't want him to know it was being made.
Yeah.
At all. That's why they put that gag order on.
Yeah, and that's when people get all excited about the Hellraiser remake. It's just like, just remember all of this stuff that happened in the past.
Yeah.
It's, either it's not going to happen at all, or they're going to run out of time and make something crappy, or they're going to just screw Clive over and just do something themselves anyway.
Well, Tim Day, one of the writers of this movie, said to Fangoria, Clive called Rick and had him over to his house for a viewing. Clive said that he thinks Hellseeker is the best one since Hellraiser 2. I believe he said something like, thank God somebody finally got it. Everyone knows how he felt about the pools. It's a little bit of a sore spot between him and Dimension. So take that as you will. Yeah. Oh, man, these effects are a little hokey.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in high definition now. It's kind of like, oh, yeah, you can definitely see that.
A little heavy on the evil.
Yeah.
You were going to try to use that image for one of our fundraisers for the Hellseeker, weren't you?
Yeah, for one of our parody posters.
Oh, yeah, to put our faces on there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The one we have is good, though. It's Jose's face.
I think the problem was that I think in this one we got a whole bunch of money at once, and it's like Jose had to make like a whole bunch of posters instead of just one.
Yeah. Well, that's probably Claude Barker. They told him to put that little image in.
Oh yeah.
Face.
Also, this part here, Boda ran into some trouble, and I'm reading again from Paul Kane's book about Hellraiser. He said Boda was promised that the giant fans in the basement that could be heard in the basement of the mental institution would be switched off during the scenes between Lang and Trevor on their way to the morgue. When he came to shoot, he found that they couldn't be shut down, resulting in the actors having to do it as a scratch track and then dub their words afterwards.
Oh, because it's just too loud.
Also broke in the abandoned hospital location, causing the production to be shut down for 3 days.
Huh.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful. Yeah, there's the graphic part in the morgue.
Yeah. I don't know why there's snake slithering sound, but...
I don't know why they made the eel screech.
I'm an eel. I'm supposed to be underwater. What am I doing here?
Yeah, it's very surreal.
Yeah.
I like the little touches, obviously, Clive told about putting in
Yeah.
the meat. I like that.
Yeah.
I always have.
Now I want to watch that
fascination
movie
with-
Valentine and see if this morgue is in there.
It's kind of nice that it's...
Oh, it does look just like, I know, it's at the very beginning of it.
It's kind
It
of nice
does
that there's
look-
like 10% Clive Barker influence in this, at least, compared to the other direct-to-video sequels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I would say that I softened a lot on this movie because when you compare it to like other movies like Dead or Inferno or Hellworld, this one actually is okay.
Yeah.
The real problem is just the flashbacks and the dream sequences, and makes the story a little jumpy.
Yeah.
And a little, the scenes are a little disconnected from each other sometimes. And
Well,
I think
and the weird characterization of Kirsty, too. I mean, why would she open the box, and why is she on a
after
killing
the
spree?
Second Hellraiser, why would she ever consider opening the box?
Yeah.
Even just to spite, Trevor.
Yeah, I mean, if he handed that to her, I think in real life she would just hit him with it or throw it back at him and say, get this out of my sight. I don't ever want to see you again. So that's kind of cool, but I wish the walls would have opened, like in Hellraiser,
Yeah.
instead of just
kinda wish
the plaster falling off.
I wish they wouldn't have played this music over this either. I was just to have no music at all.
Yeah.
It's just the music.
The music is not good. It doesn't
Don't forget
fit.
that the walls are supposed to be cinder block, and they're not supposed to have plaster and little boards of wood inside.
Yeah.
them. Just supposed to be cinder block basement.
Right. Yeah, they're in a basement. Why is
Just
there
bring
daylight
that-
coming through it?
Yeah, they just bring the plaster and wood walls because it's familiar from the original Hellraiser.
Yeah.
There you go. The light shining through the slats. Actually, it's a cool effect. I'll say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so this is that other thing that I had kind of a problem with, is that Kirsty was delivering spirits, of people that she murdered, instead of just, she should have been able to just hand people over. I don't know.
Or find a way for them to, even if she had to threaten them with a gun, which would not be in accordance with the
Hellbound, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in Hellbound, Dr. Chenard is the one that has the desire to open the doors
Yeah.
to hell. He only uses Tiffany, but the Cenobites aren't fooled by that. They go like, hey,
Yeah.
it's not hands that call us.
Well, yeah, and why do some of those women deserve to deserve this? I don't know that they do. Like that acupuncturist, she doesn't seem like somebody that would deserve this.
Well, as far as Christie's concerned, she did because she was screwing Trevor.
Yeah, but she may not have even known he was married.
Yeah. One thing that they didn't use, and it was in the both drafts of the script, was whenever they show the scene from the car crash. Originally, there was supposed to be a goat that appeared in the middle of the road, and that would be what would cause Trevor to kind of lose control and fall off the bridge.
Well, kind of a nod to like a Baphomet kind of image.
Yeah, or like, hell. Like,
Yeah.
goats were always considered to be like connected with
Yeah.
the Sabbath and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They wanted to get the most exotic goat available in Vancouver, with weird twisted antlers.
Huh. That'd be cool.
And in the bus, the old lady knitting, there would have been a goat sitting in the bus right next to her while she knitted using her wool.
So I wonder how long in real life it took her to open that. I mean, was it really fast like that, or I wonder if it took her...
Oh, yeah.
Of course, she's done it a couple of times now, so...
These sequels, they always like show someone like touching the box and then the box opens. In the Scarlet Gospels, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Like
that's true.
Harry the Moor simply touches the box and it pretty much opens on its own.
Yeah, and in a way, I thought that was almost a parody of what happens in the sequels. At least these chains don't have light bulbs on them.
Yeah, like last.
Yeah.
This sequence, actually, Jose, you were telling, had some footage cut from it. That was.
She's like, "Wait a minute, I don't know you. What's your name?"
Better.
I don't know you either.
Yeah, Rob. There's a deleted scene that was included in the DVD. It's a little more expanded. And so there's more dialogue between Kirsty and Pinhead, and they were like, I didn't give myself, I didn't give my own life just out of the goodness of my heart. It's like when we see Hellraiser 2, when Pinhead is transformed back into Elliot, and he gives Kirsty that look that says kind of like, get out of here, run, and he tries to fight Shenard, and then he gets killed. Mm-hmm. In the deleted scene for this movie, he kind of hints that he didn't give himself just out of the goodness of his heart. He wanted her to be in debt with him so he could claim her soul in the future. Which, they were trying to find a way to put this into continuity.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they trimmed down that scene a lot. So if you have the DVD, you can see the deleted scenes.
So, when Kirsty opened the box and Pinhead and the Cenobites came and started having this conversation with her, where was Trevor right then? Where did he go? Because he was in the room with her.
It's like Kirsty was transported into...
Yeah, that's not what that's not our experience with Hellraiser movies,
that's
right?
That's not usually what happens. It's like the Cenobites come into our world.
Yeah.
We don't go into their world. Unless it's Scarlet Gospels or Hell 2, where they walk through the hallway into hell.
But she didn't walk through any hallway. So now we're seeing the real, here's the reality stuff, which is like we've got 10 minutes of reality and the rest of it is fantasy.
There's another deleted scene that's very expanded in terms of dialogue back and forth between Trevor and Kirsty. And she tells him that she saw all the tapes, all those women in my bed, in my house. And then he kind of tries to tell her that, hey, those tapes are old.
Oh, I saw the ramp. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Also, something interesting. When they crashed the car actually crashed on its roof. You see it falls down. What they did was because, of course, the car would be sinking wheels down in the story, but the reality was that the car crash made the car smash, kind of did a half flip in the air and fell on its roof. And so what they did was, to get the shot, when they were filming the scene where they're pulling the car out of the river with the crane, they dropped the car from the crane back into the river and got the shot of the car falling forward. This movie had a $3 million budget, so...
Yeah. That was bigger, I guess.
3 times the size of the original Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Of course, that movie mostly takes place in a house.
A lot of the budget, I think, went to the underwater stuff. The effects and the stunts of the car going into the...
Yeah, it says here, much in the Hellraiser films and their legacy by Paul Kane, it says, much of the underwater filming was done in a tank, but Ashley Lawrence, famously like Winona Ryder in her aquatic scenes for Alien Resurrection, wasn't very comfortable in the water. Boda had to film her scenes just under the surface, which meant that in effect, where we see Kirsty's drowning face in a vending machine had to be dropped. The rest of the footage was shot in water 6 feet deep with the car cut in half and a bubble machine working over time. Yeah.
Well, that scene in what you described in Alien Resurrection, I saw a documentary on the shooting of that scene. Ron Perlman almost died. He was drowned shooting that scene.
Gosh.
Yeah. Shooting underwater stuff, I wouldn't be comfortable doing it either.
No. Well, it's uncomfortable even to watch. Like those people having to swim for like a minute and a half to get away from aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that they can't really hold their breath that long, and they don't know where they're going or if there's going to be a way out, wherever they're headed.
Here's a Kinder Surprise.
Yeah. And so all these characters are like he's the brain surgeon and
Yeah, you see, I kind of like that. That's kind of cool, connecting all this.
yeah,
You know,
it is. And
cool.
she's the only person that she said anything nice to him while he was lying there dead.
Except for this one. I think this one doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, who would talk to cadavers like that? Just like the coroner says, Jesus, Allison, what possesses you to talk to cadavers?
Yeah.
And her explanation is not satisfying at all.
Well, and you'd think that he would have noticed her doing that.
Like to be talked to like.
Well, and you'd think if she did that before, that he would have noticed.
And she's being so kind to him. She doesn't know who he is.
Yeah.
And the police actually thought he was a murderer, so why is she being so nice to him?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, that's just a little weird.
Yeah.
But it's meant to explain why she appears as an angelic figure. She's the only one who talks kindly to his corpse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this bit here at the end.
I do too. Probably
one more
thing.
thing.
That could be my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
It's just
It reminds me of the old Columbo TV show where he goes like, one more thing, and then he expounds everything, and they're like, oh, you got me.
Yeah.
And she's like, really? I can have this? Thanks. I'm just going to go and put this in like a big pile of concrete somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's cool about the
since everybody's watching, I'm just going to take this piece of evidence and I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't. The cop wouldn't just give somebody a box.
If they've already kind of decided that it was suicide and they believed her, it seems like that kind of stuff does happen often where they just, give up on the whole, they already decided what happened. But I'm not sure,
But that's cool. I kind of think it's cool that she gets the box because if anybody, I guess, could be like a guardian or somebody at the box.
Yeah. Well, I mean, geez.
So taking this dark turn.
Hellraiser 7 could have been a sequel to this movie.
Yeah. I wish it would have.
Yeah.
Done something, Something cool.
Yeah, instead of just fishing for scripts.
Yeah, I mean, they should have taken... They could have written a low-budget script with the amount of money. I mean, $3 million isn't a lot of money, but you could have... Just be imaginative like they were with Hellraiser. Just... Heck, I mean, Hellbound didn't get that much of a budget, did it?
Yeah.
There was a review done by Ryan Rotten for Creature Corner. And the ending of his review says, he's talking about Ashley Lawrence, and he says, I completely stand by Lawrence's decision to not want to speak about the film with Fangoria. She didn't have to come across so bitchy, but I see where she's coming from. Geico insurance commercials have more substance than this snoozer.
Yeah.
Wow. She did come out and say in a few interviews and conventions that it was her belief that this might have been all like one of Kirsty's like dream sequences or something.
Yeah, so that's interesting that Ashley Lawrence actually sort of wrote off the weird characterization of her by of Kirsty by saying that, oh, well, it was just all a dream. It's like, no, actually, it's not. I mean, all the bad stuff that she did, that's the only part that wasn't a dream.
Right. I think she just said that to get the fans off her back.
Or maybe she just didn't care enough to understand this movie.
I mean, this movie is hard to understand. I mean, I don't think this, like you said in the beginning, the opening sequence, unless you take it as a flashback from Trevor while he's sitting in the hospital. Yeah. But it kind of tricks the audience quite a few times.
Yeah. And actually, that made me think of that character that was going to get half the money or whatever, and he shot himself. Yeah. Why did he shoot himself right then? He wasn't even close to getting caught yet. He could have waited until the police were coming for him.
Yeah. Again, it's not real. So it's all a hellscape, a dreamscape inside Trevor's brain. Yeah. Because at one point, Sage says that your soul is trapped. She says, "What's the actual? Your soul is locked inside your body and can't get out."
What was the opening quote from the movie? Remember from Dante's Inferno?
The quote from Dante's Inferno was. There is no greater sorrow than to remember happiness in times of misery.
that kind of plays into what the film's really about in a way.
Oh yeah, I put a note on here that said you can see his eyes fluttering. Thanks, Blu-ray. That Trevor's corpse in the body bag, you could see his eyelids fluttering.
Oh, I
You can
didn't
see
notice
him
that.
blink a couple of times underwater after he's been shot in the head as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's hard to do, man.
Yeah.
And again, they're back in the day when Kirsty was not the Kirsty Cotton. It was just some random character named Kirsty. The previous draft of this script, it was a really weird draft that opened up with Kirsty being pregnant.
Yeah, I remember you telling me. I think I know where you're going with this.
And, saying, going in between the contractions, he's playing a game with Trevor about finding the cubic root of, numbers. And then she tells him to pull the car, stop the car and pull over. And then she starts giving him oral sex. And it's like...
Yeah, that's what I remember you telling me. I was like, that sounds kind of just absurd.
Absurd. Completely absurd as an opening to a... Yeah. I didn't understand why he wrote that thing. Anyway. So that was it.
Hellseeker. Next up is we're taking a break. No, Deader's next. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I thought it was Saint Center, but we got to do Deader. Then we take a break. Then we finish up with Hell World.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Like I said, from all the sequels, I think this one is the one I dislike the least.
Yeah.
So, it was really fun. Dean Winters and Ashley Lawrence did a great job. And I just wish the story was a little better. But I would give it like a 6 out of 10.
I would too. That's what I was thinking just now. I was like, what score would I give it? I'd probably get a 6.
Sounds accurate.
All right.
Where I'd give, I'd probably give Hell Inferno probably like a 3.
I forget. Are we doing Deader next, or next are we doing the break? And
I think it
is Deader next.
Then it's Saint Center, right?
Yeah, we are doing Deader next, and then Saint Sinner, and then Hell World.
We're actually getting closer to the good movies.
Yeah.
And coming up, we're also going to do an episode about Tonight Again.
Yeah. We've had a little bit of a delay with that one, just with scheduling, but we should have it hopefully within the next week or so.
Yeah.
Yep. So stay tuned. And again, thanks to our sponsors, Geordie Calendar and Don Bertram's project to help the Children's Hospital.
Celebrate Imagination.
There were some really cool videos that you posted, Ryan, that I watched on talking to that guy.
Oh, yeah, his news clips
CNN
and stuff.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
So our listeners, go check those out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And yep, if you click on the advertisement link, it goes to a little page where I collected all of the stuff about it. So, and then there's an Etsy link to buy his artwork too.
Yeah, it's really cool.
All right, well, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
It was fun.
We'll see you here for Deader.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, it was a pleasure. Bye-bye. Catch you later.
All right, take care, guys.
The Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial fan site and podcast that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Films. This podcast and site are a labor of love by the fans for the fans. News, features, and show notes for this episode can be found at www.clivebarkercast.com. Go to iTunes and please leave us a review. Reviews really help us get the word out about Clive Barker. You can also find us on Podomatic, Xbox Music Store, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, Double Twist, BlackBerry, and Pocket Cast. We have a Facebook page, so come on and like our Facebook page and join the Occupy Midian group for lots of discussion about Nightbreed and other Clive Barker stuff. On Twitter, we're at BarkerCast and at Occupy Midian. Opening theme by Mark Buckle.